Well, with one thing and another, it's been a while since we caught up with Tanya Unkovich. Of course, Diane, it's been even longer since you caught up with Tanya. Wonderful to have her on the program. Tanya, thank you for your patience and understanding. Great to have you on the show at last.
Oh, it's always good to be here.
It is so good to talk to you, and particularly at this point in time, because exciting news from you. You've got not just one, but 2 books that are going to be coming out very, very soon.
Yes, it is very exciting. One took quite a while to write, and I had to live through it a lot in order to get it out. And the other one took me 20-something days to write it.
Wow.
But, so it turns out they're both coming out at the same time.
Gosh, was that part of the plan always, the 2-for-1 Tanya Unkovich deal? I mean, that's good marketing, but it just turned out that way?
It just turned out that way, actually. And, I just trust in God's timing with everything. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if this is the way it's meant to be, then so be it. And I'm all good with that.
Yeah. So let's talk about at least one of the books today. It's called From Grief to Greatness. Now, it's talking about overcoming adversity. I wonder, it's such a big topic, and apparently it's, broken up into 7 parts, but I wonder if we could sort of summarize the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I often talk about resilience, those pillars of resilience, and normally I have 5 pillars of resilience, but what I did actually in this book was I added another couple. And, I've lived through every one of these pillars, so I speak a lot from personal experience, and I share a lot of the strategies that I use with my clients who are trying to overcome adversity in some way. And the first part of the book is all about emotional greatness, taking that journey within. And it's one of the most precious journeys because that is where we find our true self. That is where we find our God. We find our peace and that sort of thing. So that is part 1 of the book.
This, as you say, is very much a personal story. And honestly, Tanya, this is one of the things I really appreciate and respect about your ministry. You're so honest, you're so vulnerable about the struggles you've been through and the struggles that perhaps continue to be a part of your life. They don't need to define you, but you're very open and very generous in the way you share your life and your struggles with other people. Wonderful ministry of encouragement.
Well, it's one way that we can help each other heal. It's one way that we can help each other out of suffering. And what stops people from moving forward in life often is shame. So when you hear that someone else has done that or felt that, it actually relieves, it gets you out of that cycle of shame. So that is why I'm so open. But anyway, the second part of From Grief to Greatness, of course, is a part all about the grief journey.
Yeah.
And I talk not only about Phil's passing and how I got through that, I also talk about the infertility that we went through, and I also talk about my parents' demise, their aging and their demise. And interestingly, they both passed away during the final stages of this book. So I ended up dedicating this book to them. So yes, that's part 2. It's all about the grief journey and how to live with it. Not necessarily move through it. Do we ever move through it? But just how to live again.
I think that's even important just to say in itself, it is a journey. We don't just grieve and get over it. It is something we live with. Now, I'm interested in this third part because I'm wanting you to explain it to me. Physical mastery. What do you mean by this?
Mastering your physical body, mastering the beliefs you have about your body, claiming your health, realizing the importance of your health. Your health is your wealth, my mother always used to say to me. And in this part, I share a lot of my own journey with food and the struggles I had and going through that part. I also talk about, the obsessions that we sometimes carry about exercise and balance and how to really start respecting your body. And that's one of the reasons why people don't stick at things is because they don't have that basic respect for their body. So when they end up losing weight, they can't adjust because they still don't like who they are, So I talk a lot about that in that part.
The aspect of your journey when it comes to, I suppose, recovering from grief and learning to love again. Talk to us about that.
Loving again later in life. Well, that was a lesson in itself, I have to say, because I was you're grieving, you make decisions from a place of loneliness, you make decisions from a place of not wanting to feel the pain. So I talk a lot about learning to love again later in life. Whether you've been through a bereavement, a divorce, it's about really, that's why I say take that journey back to you. Fall in love with you first before you fall in love with someone else.
Yeah.
And don't make your decisions from a place of loneliness. So I talk a lot about that.
I think the next one's really important as well because it's sort of a step on from that, and that is the search for purpose. Can you speak to us about that?
Well, when we are alone, when we are widowed, or when we find that we are alone in life again, or have just been through any form of major adversity, sometimes our identity is lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what we're here for anymore. Oh my goodness, not only am I not ever going to be a mum, I'm not even a wife anymore. Who am I? And many people don't know what they're here for. And you've got to find meaning and purpose in your life again. Whether it just be being around for your cat, start there. Do you know what I mean? Find some reason to have purpose in your life again.
One of the places that people do find purpose, a sense of calling, is in their professional careers. And this is an area where we can say, hey, if that's what God has given us, we can achieve greatness and significance and purpose in this area, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And, ask yourself, Lord, how can you use me now? I've been through this major adversity. How can I somehow give back to mankind? How can I be of service to others, of service to you? And often it may be in your professional career, whether you are mentoring, speaking, writing books even.
Yeah.
So many people go on to be mentors and counselors and things like that. So find purpose there.
And I love the final part of this book because it sets us up for everything really, and that is faith, our foundation.
Yeah. And I write this book sharing my own story of faith, but I'm also very aware that people who don't have a belief are reading this book. So I write it also for them to somehow find something, find something greater than themselves, and whatever that is for them right now, So I share very openly about my faith in God and how really the way I got back up again was I looked up and said, help me, and put my hand up and said, you lead the way for me from now on. So,
A wonderful, wonderful book, the latest one from Tanya Unkovich, From Grief to Greatness, The Art of Overcoming Adversity. Look, we've only been able to skim very lightly across the surface. Tanya, if it's okay with you, we'd love to unpack some of these topics in the weeks ahead, perhaps between now and Christmas. But for people listening to this at the moment that like to get a hold of a copy of the book, what's the best way to do so?
Well, it's still on its way.
Okay.
So give me a few weeks, maybe at most a month, all right? I've got the cover, so I can you can see the cover on my social media at the moment. It's ready.
Can people pre-order on social media or not quite yet?
Well, look, I suppose what they could, I'll do that on my website for New Zealand listeners. I'll actually get that arranged, so I'll have it up by next week. How's that?
That sounds absolutely brilliant. Hey, looking forward to unpacking this this very important book, From Grief to Greatness. Tanya, thanks for being a part of the show.
You are always welcome.